So the one thing that we can't control, obviously, is the weather. As you can see outside today, it's quite rainy and gloomy, but if you have a wedding planned, you have to just go with the flow. Well, that was one of the cases with a bride that we had last summer. They had a tented wedding in a beautiful arboretum. Well, the weather had its own plans.
Yes. You know, you're planning this wedding sometimes a year and a half, even sometimes 2 years in advance, and you're picking this random date off the calendar, and you have a 50-50 shot. It's either going to be beautiful or it's not. Chances are you just got to get married and hope for the best and hire great wedding planners, and your day's going to be perfect no matter what. But anyway, for this specific occasion, not only was it a tented event, and it was going to be outside throughout the entire reception process. It was going to be beautiful in this garden, and this tent was absolutely stunning. But the fact is that the night before it poured, the morning of the wedding it poured, and you know, at that point the bride's like, it is what it is. You know, she gets married. It was absolutely beautiful. She got married in a church, and you know, we get everybody over to the reception, and it's pouring buckets. And, you know, we're like, okay, I guess this is what it's going to be all day today. We're just going to make the best of it.
But about midday,
Yeah.
It started to clear up. But it was a June wedding, so it was so hot.
And so humid.
And the bride insisted that the walls come down on the tent.
They said, absolutely not. It's not going to rain anymore. The sun's coming out. It's you know, our day is going to be better now. It's going to be fine. Well, we, of course, because we're planners and we looked ahead of time, they also said that the rain was going to start again at 8 p.m. that evening.
Well, she insisted. Take the walls down, and if it rains again, blame me.
She's the bride.
We're not going to blame her.
Absolutely not.
But, of course, we listened to the bride. We took some of the walls down. Needless to say,
halfway through, the wall's coming down.
The skies opened up.
They opened.
Rained cats and dogs.
And P.S., by the way, in between all of this, when we went over everything with them, we let them know that they were a little low on their liquor counts as far as what they were ordering. We gave them our recommendations. We gave them our liquor vendor. Everything, you know, was going to be perfect. They decided to listen to themselves and not listen to us. And lo and behold, they ran out of alcohol. So right before, about, you know, a half an hour before we knew that they were going to be completely out of alcohol, we let them know and that we were going to be taking care of the situation. So half of my Bellissima is taking down walls and then trying to put them back up as the monsoon's hitting. The other half of us are trying to bring in liquor, trying to bring in alcohol. Needless to say, it was a sight to be seen.
We had to work quick, though, because the water was coming on the dance floor, where the band was.
Where the lighting was.
Where there was wires. So, needless to say, we got the walls up. We were soaked. We looked absolutely drenched, but you know what? The bride and groom had an amazing time.
They had the best time. Slip and sliding on the dance floor. Yeah. They were literally slip and sliding, all the guests, because at that point, they were pleasantly happy with the drinks that they had during the day, and, you know, we took care of the situation. They were thrilled.
Yeah.
Needless to say, it was a little bit uncomfortable, but it was great, and they loved us for it, and we loved them.
Yes, absolutely. So that brings us to weddings that we are planning now. Unfortunately, the weather isn't something that we can predict, but you have to have plan A, B, and C. We do have a wedding coming up this summer that we are so excited about.
Can't wait.
It's going to be in a sculpture garden. The ceremony is planned to be outside, but of course we will have our backups. But we know this one's going to be amazing. She's going to look like a Grecian statue herself.
Absolutely. Absolutely gorgeous.
She's incorporating in so many unique colors and textures and styles. And
lighting, and it's going to be absolutely amazing. And it's intimate. It's not really that many. It's only going to be about 60 guests. So amazing food, amazing, you know, subjects to photograph, amazing sculpture park to be at. Absolutely breathtaking and completely outside the box, just like how we like it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I think that some of the unique weddings that we've planned in the past, one that stands out to me is Sarah and Eric's. It was a small, intimate little wedding in a chapel up in Cape Cod, It was this little tiny chapel in the middle of the woods. It literally fit 30 people. We had candles all in it. We had a harp player.
Oh,
and it
gorgeous.
It was just
breathtaking.
Breathtaking.
Yeah.
And then after that, of course, we had some photos on the beach, followed by a reception in this beautiful mansion. And the nice thing about doing the small weddings is that you can go all out. You can make the room how you want. And it just was more, it was special because they were there for each other. It wasn't a big show.
Right, so family oriented, and just, they really had it right as far as what they were doing on that day, who they were celebrating all that with, and it was magical.
Yes.
Yes.
So that one, during the planning process, was very interesting, and it made it actually enjoyable because the bride herself really liked all sorts of arts and crafts, and she ended up working with us at the end, coming on as a wedding planner because she was just like us. But we've had definitely some experiences in the past that make the planning process interesting.
Yes, to say the least, very interesting. We've had situations where, bridesmaids had forgotten to pick up their dresses, dress shops have been closed, how we convince, makeup artists to come on that weren't contracted but thought that they were. We do something called a WODO, which stands for Week of Day of Service. We don't just do day of service. We don't feel comfortable coming into your wedding, not knowing who the vendors are, not knowing, who we're working with, and in turn, they're not comfortable working with us. So we start the week before, take over all the contracts, and make sure everybody knows who we are and we're all on the same timeline. That's for brides that really wanted to do the planning process on their own, and they wanted us to come in and tie up all the loose ends. That also leaves a lot of room for error when it's vendors that we've never worked with before. So we try and make the best out of the situation, but things like not picking up their bridesmaid's dress when they were responsible to pick them up on their own, and begging the shop to open, and getting a sample size dress and literally sewing it on her right before she's about to go down the aisle has made our life exciting.
Yes, exciting.
Very exciting.
It allows us to tell stories like these. But as far as the planning process itself and stressful parts of it, I would say a couple things. One being budget. Some clients, they don't have, the world to spend, and, but they want a unique wedding. And I think that hiring a planner allows us to show them different ways that they can do that. But it can be stressful because, they see shows, weddings on TV, and they look at these magazines, and they want to recreate that.
Yeah.
And then I think the other stressful part is probably families.
Yeah, losing sight of the reason why they're getting married in the first place. Everybody has to add their opinions, and the bride and groom get so stressed out that they forget and lose sight of the reason why they're coming together and getting married. And a lot of times we just have to pull them back a little bit and say, it's about the two of you. It's not about how this color shade is going to affect the invitation and people are going to remember. And it's not about that. It's about two people that are so in love that they want to spend the rest of their lives together. And we like to bring that back around. So
along with being planners, we're also
therapists. Big time. So that's good. And, I think that when it comes to, crazy brides and, different characteristics that have, stood out as far as, different ways that people have come into planning and, where they're at and where they want us to take over. Crazy brides just don't happen overnight. Crazy brides get to that point because of the stress level that they're under. So, we like to say that our brides are really stress-free because they come to us, and like we said, we're therapists, so we can really have them vent to us, and, they didn't get to the point where it's overwhelming to them. We're taking over and making sure that they're doing things at the right time, the right way, and they're so much better off for it because you only get one wedding day. You want to remember that day.